Yes, it's quite an important word that a lot of people are interested in, so I guess that grabbed everyone's attention, I would say. Okay, so the science of happiness, um, we called it the science of happiness because I think that there's a lot of research that is not very much known out there, and those of you who get to go to therapy, the lucky ones, you get to learn a lot of these things, but on a daily basis, everyday life, we don't get to know some of the new research that is being presented that actually contributes to happiness. So, okay. I first want to make a very important disclaimer, and I wrote good vibes only and I crossed it off. Because by no means do I want to endorse toxic positivity or being happy all the time or always being positive or seeing things on the bright side. What's sad cannot be seen as happy. That is it. What's sad is sad, and that's it. Okay, so it's very important that all emotions are seen as equally valid, and happiness is not about the absence of sadness. Actually, it's quite the contrary. It's about making sure that you validate all the emotions that you feel, and all of these emotions are very important. But nonetheless, happiness is very important for survival. We all want to be happy. I guess one of the things I definitely wanted to start with, I want to get to know some of you here. Oh no, actually I'm going to start with me. Okay, let's start with about me before I ask you why you're here. So as Debbie said, I'm a counselor by profession. So I do therapy with private clients. I also work in a school with teenagers. And I've been practicing for about, I think for the last 5 years now. I've been training for about 8-9 years in total, which is quite a long time. And I'm a mother of 2, and that's pretty much about it about me. Yeah, sorry, I blanked on this one, but those are the main things about me, right? Okay, so I know it may be a pretty obvious question, but I want to know, why are you here? Any brave ones want to share? Do you have enough alcohol in your bloodstream?
Networking.
Yes?
Networking.
Networking.
Yeah.
Very good. Does that make you happy?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else wants to share? Yes?
I think seeing the title, like science and happiness,
Yeah.
together just intrigued me, and I just wanted to know.
Yeah. Seeing science and happiness together in a title is quite exciting, I would say. And for those of you who are coming here expecting that it's going to be super mega scientific, I'm very sorry, I'm going to disappoint you. It's going to be very psychologically scientific, if that makes sense. So psychology is a science. It's not the typical science like chemistry or biology, although those things are also implemented. So in this talk, it's mostly going to be about psychological science. So studies about happiness, or studies about mental health, studies about depression, emotion. So all of those things contribute to this topic. And I guess seeing and practice in therapy with most clients, I think this is something that a lot of people have woken up to as important in their life. I think in the last 3 years, during COVID, a lot of people realized that, life's too short. Shit can happen, like COVID. We've experienced things that we have absolutely no control over. And that's when a lot of people lost a lot of control. So there were people who've never experienced mental health issues in their life, like anxiety or burnout, have for the first time. So people who thought would never be at risk of developing mental health issues actually did. And that shocked the world. And I have always been saying that during COVID, the biggest issue that we're going to have in our hands is a pandemic of mental health. And I think we're very much in it. My colleagues are here, and I think they can also agree with that. We've had an influx of referrals from people who've never been to therapy before, seeking help, they want to grow. Well, the mental health part, that increased, but also we had an increase of people who don't just want to sit there and live life on autopilot. They actually want to do something interesting. They want to be happier. Essentially, that is what everyone wants. If we had to put it very plainly, people who go to therapy is because they want to be happy. And would you agree with me if I had to say that you came to this talk because I guess essentially you all want to be happy? Is there anyone here who doesn't want to be happy? I think that would be a bad mistake for your own survival. So, okay. Anyone else wants to share why they're here? I'm really interested to get to know some new faces. There's some familiar faces here, and I know there's a lot supporting me, so thank you to those. But I want to get to know the new people as well.
I follow you on Instagram. I like what I see. I want to see what you have to say.
Thank you. This is my office neighbor. Okay, anyone else wants to share why they're here? Or would inspire them? Yes? Growth. So you want to grow. So that's something that contributes to happiness, in your opinion. Yeah. That's very good. That's amazing. That's amazing. I think you're going to get some of that, yes, from here today. Okay. Anyone else? The guys here are smiling. Can you tell me why you're here?
I was curious about the time.
Okay, curiosity. That's a very, very good trait to have for happiness. Yeah.
I just said my friend is not enough happy, so he wants to recover what is the happiness and how to be a happy more.
Yeah. Okay, he just outed you that you're not happy. It's okay, I'll give him a business card. Yeah, anyone else wants to share why they're here?
I think we sleep on the fact that happiness is not given like for granted kind of
Yeah,
thing.
you can slip away.
Whenever I see these videos of asking, "But are you happy?" Like most people are like, probably not.
Yeah.
You know. So I think it's a topic which really needs to be talked about. So it's good that you're here as well.
Thank you. It's true. It's one of those things that it's like such an obvious thing, but then when someone asks you, you're like, oh wait, what is it? You know, when we ask, for example, in therapy or like in interviews, when they say, tell me something about you. Like, who are you? And everyone's like, I don't know, I'm 31 years old. I live in Garbu. You know, like we used to do at school in like PSHE, right? When we used to do the rounds and ask. And I did it as well about the about me part. I didn't even write notes about that or rehearse anything because I said, well, about me, I don't need to study anything. But I actually didn't have anything else to say besides the fact that's what my career is and that I'm a mother, which is not sad. I mean, those are two of the most important things in my life. So I guess I did say the most, you know, the essential characteristics about me. So yeah. Okay. Anyone else wants to tell us why they're here?
Kind of saw that science.
Yeah, the science bit again. That's definitely the popular one. And I think that's when I told Demi, like when we were trying to see what topic to talk about, I had just listened to a podcast that was really interesting, and because there was science in it as well. And I said, oh, this is a really interesting topic. How about we talk about this a bit more? And she loved the idea, and she told me that, yeah, science is going to be a winner. So this is why we went for it. Okay. And can I ask, so what do you expect? Like when you saw the science of happiness, what do you understand by that? Like maybe you can tell me if you saw that.
I expected like case studies and numbers.
Okay.
Yeah.
There is going to be some numbers.
Formulas.
Yeah, I failed maths, so.
It's like a recipe which is available on the region, so it comes by science. It's a lot of different things which contribute to better medicine.
Yeah.
There's no guidebook. It is a guidebook, but there's no set rules.
But that's very true what you're saying. Happiness, or the approach to happiness, is not a one-size-fits-all approach, definitely not. Sorry, I was supposed to give the microphone out to the people. But, okay, so anyone else who can share what they expect from the science of happiness or what they understand by it?
What happiness is not.
Good one. What happiness is not.
How you can understand what happiness if you don't know
Yeah.
what it is.
In fact, there is one of the questions that's going to help you with identifying what makes you happy, because we're going to do that. That is how we will start. That's the only user I will give for now. Okay, we can move on. So, it's an obvious question, right? We were going to start with this. What is happiness? And again, I'm going to ask you, what is your idea of happiness? Because there are two things to this, okay? So there is obviously the psychological, objective explanation, but there is also a subjective side. So the subjective side, which is the meaning you attribute to happiness, is a very essential part of cultivating happiness in your life. So it's very important that you do formulate your idea. So if you could think now, or maybe you already have one and you want to share that, I will give you a few minutes to think about it, and I would really love to hear what you think about what is happiness to you, or any definition if you have one. I will have a sip of wine in the meantime. Demi, do you have an answer for us?
What makes me happy?
What
Family.
is happiness?
Oh, family. For me, happiness is family.
Family.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Anyone else wants to share? I'm going to give you the boring, objective explanation. So I want the exciting, interesting, subjective ones of yours.
Food makes me happy.
Food makes you happy. Yes, that is actually a scientifically evidence-based pleasure. It does actually increase a lot of serotonin and dopamine. So, yeah. Christine?
When the kids are asleep.
When the kids are asleep. I agree. I agree. A lot. My dearest colleagues. What is happiness? Benji.
Something of peace.
A cocktail of peace. And? Yes, I love that. And laughter. Okay. Anyone here at the bar? Alcohol, maybe?
Consciousness of non-complaint.
Consciousness of non-complaint. Could you care to elaborate on that?
Well, consciousness is a state of being of mind, or
Yes.
self,
Yeah.
you know yourself, in a state of which there are no complaints.
So positive, like a positive approach. Is that what, am I understanding correctly?
If you take it, I don't know, should I talk a lot or should I just...
Yes, go ahead. This is a collaborative event, so.
So, if you observe something, you have to observe it from a position of not. So if you say, okay, yesterday was a big complaint and today there is none, then comparatively with yesterday, today I'm happy, right? And so yeah, I'm happy by not complaining, by doing everything else but complaining.
Yeah, I guess that's a good recipe for happiness, I would say. Okay, what is happiness? More answers.
To me, it's being aware of who you are, accepting it, and then living your truth.
You're an expert at this. It's like you said my whole presentation today. Very good, yes. Anyone else wants to share what their idea of happiness is? You guys sitting in the back, you're not going to get off unscathed. Absence of angst. And what does angst mean to you?
Kind of existential, wanting to run away and hide.
Yeah. Yeah, just talking about a friend, right? Yeah. Interesting. Like, you guys are really coming up with a lot of the very saucy explanations. They're not basic. I can say that. Okay, before I move on, anyone else? No? Okay, so this is the boring scientific explanation. Well, it's not really scientific, but it's what we go with in psychology, okay? A state of emotional well-being that a person experiences either in a narrow sense, when good things happen, in a specific moment, or more broadly as a positive evaluation of one's life and accomplishments overall. That is subjective well-being. So, for example, one of the ways we measure happiness in psychology is through subjective well-being. And this is when I said it's very important that you also have your own subjective explanation to happiness, because that is one of the ways it's going to tie into your subjective well-being. And for example, one of the ways, some people ask me, how do you measure progress in clients in therapy, for example? We do it through well-being. One, how the person feels in terms of well-being, and there are also scales we use. And we're going to have a little bit of taste of that tonight, okay? So here it refers to experiences in a narrow sense, like for example, when you have, like, I don't know, when you have a child, or when you get married, or your graduation, or a promotion. Those are moments of happiness. Those are the moments that give you an influx of joy. And then there is the happiness in terms of a continuum, so more of a long, broader term where you kind of, you might be sad today, but you're still happy, if that makes sense. Okay? Okay, so here is where it gets interesting. So we're going to hand out one of the scales that is used. It's actually a scale by a psychologist who studies happiness. Yeah, just hand it. And it's a measure of subjective well-being, so basically how happy you are. Obviously, we need to take this with a pinch of salt. It's very important. We're not going to diagnose anyone with depression. And please don't be disheartened if your score is low or too high. I mean, if there's anyone who has a very high one, I'm very interested to know who they are. So we'll give you about 10 minutes, or maybe depends how long it takes you to fill it up. Pens, we need pens. Okay. Don't overthink it. Just go with the number that you feel is the most representative.
Excuse me?
Pens? Sorry.
If anyone has their own pen, that would be the perfect.
I mean, this is your souvenir for the night. You can keep the pen. Maybe not.
Oh. Yes.
I'm on neither end of that scale, right?
For people that don't have one, if you have an AirDrop on your phone, we're going to AirDrop it. So switch on your AirDrop. It's okay. No worries. Everyone's great.
If I take a step back,
Does anyone need me to airdrop it to them who doesn't have a paper? No? Louder. Okay. Okay. I need to talk louder. How's it going? Any surprises? Well, I mean, it's a pretty basic questionnaire, so you're not supposed to be surprised.
Helping you around. I must open my
Did everyone fill it in? Or is there anyone who's not finished? How are we on time? Okay. Okay, I imagine everyone's done, right? It's like the kids in school when they start talking, it means it has nothing to do. So, you're talking. Okay, so, how was it? I mean, again, not very big questions, but okay, actually, sorry. Now you need to score it. So basically, add them all up and divide by 4. So you have to take the average, basically.
What do we have to do, sorry?
Add them up and divide by 4. Right. What number is yours? I feel like okay.
And then divide by 4.
Okay, let's hear some numbers. You're in for a treat. 4.
3.5, 3.75.
3.75. 5. 4.5. 4.7. 6. Okay, you're gonna be I'm putting a tab on you for later. More numbers? Okay, so just brace yourself. It's okay. No one has the pressure. If you're past college age and your score is below 5.5, then you are less happy than the average person. So, if you're averaging between 4.5 and 5.5, you are within a normal range. Let's put it that way. Okay, this is based on, again, it's dependent on age, gender, culture, country you're living in, and a lot of other factors, okay? So that's why I wrote in a very generalized sense. Please don't take this quite literally. However, no, we don't have to see this in a bad way. So if you had a lower score, it doesn't mean you're sad or unhappy. It just means that from now on, you need to take your happiness more seriously. There is more room for improvement. And the good news is, it's not that difficult. So there isn't a magic formula, there isn't some special recipe that I'm going to tell you today. It's actually going to be quite simple, okay? And there's going to be practical examples as well. So, any comments about this? Like, maybe some of you think this is bullshit, or? No? Are you shocked to see the result? Like, seeing the average, for example? Like, if you have lower?
I feel happier than my score.
You feel happy? Okay, so that's the subjective well-being element. Okay.
Yeah.
So which of the questions did you answer with the lowest score, for example?
With the lowest score.
If you want to share,
I
obviously.
think I answered 2 with 3. I think the second one and the last one, I think.
I don't know by heart. I don't know.
The last one for sure I did 3.
Some people are generally not very happy, although they are not depressed. They never seem as happy as they might be. You scored that as 3.
Yeah, because I thought I think I understood it the opposite. Yeah, maybe. To what extent do I feel the same? It means like.
Okay, I might have screwed this up, sorry. So maybe everyone can get a free point. Okay, an extra. Okay, you're all happy. Sorry, I need to check that up and maybe email all of you with the actual way to score it, sorry. I told you I'm really horrible at maths and ironically, okay. Well, let's just take it with a pinch of salt. I think most of you can agree that working on your happiness is something that you can do, right? Do you all agree that all of you are so happy that you do not need to do anything else in life?
No.
That's not true, right? So basically what I said earlier stands still, that we can all work on towards increasing our happiness. And we need to do that because it's good for survival. It helps with lowering actually increasing the immune system. It helps with stress levels. It increases about 10 years of your life. In fact, in the last 3 years, life expectancy has decreased by 10 years because of a lack of happiness. Which is quite ironic, right? Because when we think about like 1940s, when they didn't have basic things that we take very much for granted today. So we have a lot of things.
I think social media has stolen a lot of happiness.
Social media has stolen a lot of happiness. Yes, because one of the risk factors for unhappiness is comparing yourself to others, actually. So, yeah, social media has made it very easy for us to do that. And no one is immune to it. Everyone is at risk. You know, if you're passionate, if you care about something, you're going to look at your competitors. You're going to see at the other people who are doing the same thing as you. And then, you know, if you're very negative about yourself, then you're going to look at what you didn't achieve yet, and you're going to look at what they have that you don't. Yes, environment. Yeah, with who you're surrounded and the kind of
Expectation.
yeah, the kind of comments you're surrounded with is a very important factor. Yeah, culturally we love to complain, don't we? Maltese people. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's it. That's what suffers at the end, the happiness. Yeah, culture plays a very big role in happiness. So here I'm happy to see that there are there are a lot of different nationalities, I would say. So I think I'm very interested to find out different concepts of happiness as well. And I'm Maltese, so I mean I come from a line of complainers and pessimists. So this was a very difficult topic for me. It's about breaking barriers, that's it. Yeah, that's it. In fact, in the very beginning, when I had good vibes only and I crossed it off, I definitely don't want to give the impression that I'm some kind of unicorn where I'm always happy and because I know these things, I'm always, actually quite the opposite. I have experienced depression, I have experienced anxiety, I have hit rock bottom, I have been on top of a mountain, I have been in many states. And so we're all a work in progress. This is not about who's happiest or who's, good vibes only. We need a bit of sadness, I think. It's an important emotion. Okay, now comes the fun stuff. What do you think would make you happier? So now you know that there's more room for happiness in your life. So what's missing? What are the first thoughts coming to mind? Grateful. Okay, so what's missing is being more grateful, right? Okay, that's good. That's a good one.
I would say freedom.
Freedom?
In a weird way, but the freedom to
That's
do
not weird.
other things, with travel as much as you want, and not work if you don't want to, you know,
So what do you want more of?
yeah, I just want to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Money?
More holidays.
More holidays. Well, not even holidays, because they need the money to go to the holidays.
So more money.
More vacations? Yeah. Public holidays? Yeah?
Time. Time.
More time? Yeah, so that one perception comes into that quite a lot. Well, time is a very fixed thing, so that's something we can't change. However, some of the practices that I will be sharing with you today can alter the perception of time, which is very important for happiness in this case. More nature? Yeah, you're suffering in Malta with that. What's missing in your life? What do you want more of?
I think nothing is missing. I just need to like realize what's there.
Very good. You two are professionals, aren't you? Yeah. Okay. What's missing? Or what could you do more of with it? Demi?
Motivation, maybe.
More motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like natural motivation.
Like the one where you don't have to buy something to do something. Yeah. Okay, let me go outside. John?
Money.
Money. Okay, one of the biggest pitfalls. Hate to break it to you, but it's not going to make you happier.
Contentment.
Contentment.
Self-knowledge.
Self-knowledge. Very good. You guys are ruining the surprise element of my presentation. That is very true. Some of the things that you want are out of your control. Well, not exactly. I'm going to dismantle that for you. What's missing? What do you want more of? Number 6. You scored 6. Tell me. What's missing? You could be 7, so there's a 1 there.
Being more in the present.
Being more in the present. Yes. That's right. It's a very, very good one. That table over there?
We are perfect. We are very happy.
Perfectly happy. Okay. You can take the floor. Okay. Let me make it back to the stage. Anyone else wants to share one last thing? What do you think would make you happier? Okay, so before we get to the actual things that make you happy, as proven by science, we're going to share the lies we've been told about happiness. There are 3. Okay? Number 1, happiness must be found, that it's out there somewhere, a place beyond our reach. And even when we think about the saying, the pursuit of happiness, like it's an object that you need to grab to get. It's very counterintuitive, right? Because that means you're currently not happy, and unless you have that, you won't be happy. It's a fallacy, it's a trap. How many of you actually believe this before now? Yeah?
I thought that I have to do something, like I have to reach a goal, maybe like if I get a job, if I graduate, then I'll get happy.
Yeah. You think that if you graduate, get that job, or
But
reach
then
that
the
goal,
expectations.
yeah, you're always disappointed then, right?
Exactly.
Or maybe you can reach them, but then you realize they don't really last.
Exactly.
Because those are the
it's
momentary
more of a
things.
state, I think, now, rather than an object.
Good way of thinking. That's where we're going with this. How many of you are guilty of thinking about happiness in this way? No? Oh, some pretty happy people here. Yeah? Anyone else wants to share? Yeah?
No, I agree that I think we set ourselves like a lot of goals and expectations, and unless
Yeah.
you reach them, it's always like something you haven't been able to achieve, so you cannot be happy.
Exactly. It's a trap, right? It's black and white. And in fact, in therapy, one of the things that I strongly recommend, so I do coaching, okay? So coaching is more structured as an approach as opposed to psychotherapy or counseling, which is more of a free, unstructured, present approach. coaching requires you to think, plan, and strategize, and create goals, right? But if you just focus on the goals and you completely forget about your current state, crises, things happening outside of your control, that plan basically turns to shit. So let's take COVID, for example. How many people actually had coaching programs and had goals and stuff they wanted to achieve, and then bam, pandemic comes along and everything is shut down. You open a restaurant, you're on top of the world, all of a sudden restaurants are closed. I don't know, you buy a new office for your colleagues and you're having the time of your life, all of a sudden you can't actually work together physically. What do you think? So goals are important to have, but it's not the only thing that you should focus on. It's good to have a goal because it sets vision, it sets expectations and some direction. However, you need to learn how to be more present as well. Number 6 said that. So that's very good. Okay, lie number 2. Happiness lies in changing our circumstances. So this is where we say, oh, if I get that job, I will be happier. Oh, if I have a garden, if I earn more money, or, something that's challenged me with this is, if I move to a different country, I will be happier. I still believe that, so this is a challenge for me. But I shouldn't just focus my happiness on that, because I might be disappointed. I would love to move, right? It's one of my dreams but I'm trying to challenge myself not to focus on that too much. So trying to find happiness before I move, if that makes sense. So, yeah. Okay, line number 3, the last one, but I'm sure there are many more. You either have it or you don't. So I'm pretty sure that 90% of you here have family history of mental illness. Am I lying?
No.
Yeah. All of us have history of mental illness. An aunt with depression, grandma with bipolar disorder, or whatever, something, So how many times have we heard that the genetic disposition is there, so we're doomed for life, right? If my mom had depression, if my mom had postnatal depression, then I'm going to have postnatal depression, or then I can't change that. I can't do anything about that. That might be true, but there's some good news. Oh, I throw in a little quote here. To change one's life, start immediately, do it flamboyantly, no expectations. That was badly timed, but anyway. Okay, so. That was also badly timed. Okay. So this is from a psychologist who researches happiness. She has a Russian name that I'm very sorry I cannot pronounce, so I won't even try, but it's at the end of the presentation. And she came up with this, well actually she didn't come up with it, she studied it, so this is scientifically backed up, okay? So, 50% is the set point. It is what you're born with, what you have, the shit you can't change, right? So there goes your genetic history in there. 10% is actually your life circumstances. That means that only 10% of your money, worth, how big your house is, how nice your car is, how many times you travel, or, circumstances. It only contributes to your happiness by 10%. So basically, if you don't have that 10%, you're still not at risk of being sad or unhappy or whatever. So, can you just imagine, just ask yourself, imagine you're going so hard, working 16-hour days to build your dream business for a good 15 years to have more money and whatnot. And it only makes you 10% happier. Would it be worth it? I'm seeing a lot of nodding heads, so any new thoughts coming up that you want to share? Okay, so the 40% is the good news I was promising you. The 40% is the things you can control. So even if you have, say, a family history with mental health issues, maybe that makes up 30%, and you have, I don't know, you have a stable job, a good income, you're like middle class. So let's just say 7%, so 37%. That means even if you don't have any of this, you still have a very good chunk of happiness that is all within your hands to control. And the other good news is, it's not that difficult to achieve. You just have to work for it. Okay? Anyone surprised by this data, or did you all know about it? What do you think? Thoughts? How many of you thought that maybe life circumstances like worth, where you live, your house, I don't know, luxuries actually contribute to more than just 10%? Did you at least maybe think that it's more than 10%? Yeah. Yeah. So you all agree that 10% was a big disappointment, right? Like, why the hell am I working so hard? Just for 10%? Fuck that, is it? You know? I want to be freer. I want to be more flexible. I want to take more vacations. Now you're suddenly realizing that those are the things that actually make you more happier. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Money is important, okay? I'm not the type of person who thinks that not having money or being poor is, you know, it's all about mindset or whatever. No, money is important, okay? If you have money, you can have the best healthcare. You can have comfortable conditions. So it is important, obviously, to have money. However, you need to weigh it against how much you're working for it, how much you're losing to earn that when the return is 10%. That is what we're doing here, okay? So, research suggests that the initial steps to becoming happier can be implemented straight away. So that means you can walk out of here actually being able to be happier. You can do that. The first step involves recognizing that our yearning to increase our happiness is not just wishful thinking. It's actually true. It's backed by science. That 40% is years of research. It's not just a random number thrown in the pie chart. So it is possible to be happy. And we can say that with utmost confidence, scientific confidence, okay? I really like this quote. Happiness isn't a knock of good fortune that we must await like the end of rainy season. Neither is it something that we must find, like a freeway exit or a lost wallet. If only we knew the secret path, and if only we could acquire the right job or the right boyfriend. Do I have some guilty faces? Okay, so the pie chart, even after we take into account our genetically determined personalities, who we are, that's the 50%, and the rich and complex circumstances of our lives, what we face, that's the 10%, 40% of the differences in our happiness levels are still left unexplained. That's a big number. Okay, so what makes up this 40%? You already mentioned a few of them, so I don't know whether you have any other thoughts that you would think contribute to the 40%. Like, what can you add to your life that contributes to that 40%?
I think having the right attitude.
Having the right attitude, yes?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's your state of mind, right? So
State of mind.
It's kind of training yourself sometimes to be happy.
Yeah.
You know, like when you repeat something over and over and you get that habit and then you kind of flow into it, maybe. You know?
Yeah, push yourself, kick yourself in the butt sometimes and getting up. Any other thoughts? 40%. That's like almost half, right? Let's be optimistic. Acceptance of what? Yourself, your life situation. Yeah, yeah. And when you say that, does it mean that you invalidate all the hardships you face or the challenges or, I don't know, the not so positive emotions? Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And that's very important to be positive. You first have to validate your experience, right? So if you've been through something that cannot be explained in any other way other than sad and tragic, it needs to be acknowledged and accepted as sad and tragic. Then you can move on. You cannot positive thinking your way out of something that's just terrible. You know, I've heard people tell people who, for example, just lost a child, say, "Oh, but you have 2 more kids." The fuck? You don't say that. That's just terrible. That doesn't change it. There's no positive thinking about that. It's not on. So this is what I mean by acknowledging the sad parts as sad. They don't need to be anything else other than that. They don't need to be happy. You cannot think positively about something that is just plain terrible. And you'd be surprised how much the Maltese culture actually say this, like especially about pregnancy loss and yeah. I can't think of any other examples, but this is one of the most shocking ones to me that I've heard in practice. So, okay.
We say it's God's will.
Yeah, it's God's will. Yeah, let's put God into this. Yeah. Yeah, or it happened for a reason. I hate that one. How many of you here are believers of faith? Like things happening for a reason. I mean, you need to have a little bit of faith. Not going to lie. It's an important thing to have. Because we cannot control everything, so we need to have some faith that things will turn out well, you know. But it's okay. What would you call it? So, when someone says, "Oh, it happens for a reason," it's a cycle of what, though? What are you subscribing to when you say that? The universe, God, I don't know. Yeah, energy. Yeah. Yeah. Spirituality, right? But not in the religious sense. Yeah. Okay.
Am I the only one who, for example, if something terrible happens to me, I try to think of other terrible things that happen?
Okay, so what makes up the 40%? Maybe not so surprising. Our behavior, our intention, what we do with our time, how we spend that time, daily intentional activities. This should be a cliche for you right now, right? I mean, if you're on social media, this is the shit that we see all the time. Consistency is key, you know, a little bit every day. If you do it for 2 weeks, science says that it will be more ingrained in your brain, and which is not true. What? Everything is so easy. Yeah? Well, our behavior is part of our psychology. So it's mostly made up of thoughts, emotions, and behavior in very, very basic sense, okay? But this is the 40% though. Are you surprised? Did you think I'm going to come up with some kind of magic answer? How many of you are disappointed that you actually have to do something for that 40%? Like, there's no magic pill either for that. Yeah? Is anyone here who didn't know about this, or is this new information for you? It's new information. Okay, so what are you understanding by this?
There's a lot we can control about how we feel.
Yeah, there's a lot that we can do to control how we
It's
feel.
more than I thought.
It's more, yeah, 40% is more than you thought. So you are more powerful than you think you are. So, yeah, that's very true. Okay, so this is another cliche here, but what do happy people do and have, right? So this is based on science, research on happy people and how they measure their happiness levels depends on different scales and stuff like that. And what they found is that happy people mostly have these things. And again, I don't think this is going to be surprising. Connection and relationships, gratitude, empathy and compassion, optimism about the future, savoring life's simple savoring life's simple pleasures and trying to live in the present moment, physical exercise daily or at least weekly, unfortunately, yes, for me, because I don't do this. Commitment to lifelong goals and ambitions, building resilience, the way you cope in the face of challenges. This is a big one, okay? This is one of the things that in therapy we work a lot on, resilience. Okay? You need to handle your own shit, basically. That's why you're going to therapy, so you learn how to do that. You don't go to therapy so your therapist tells you what you need to do, because that's like you're a child basically just waiting for instructions. That's why therapy is hard, it's not easy, okay? And some people who realize that you actually have to work hard in there, they're like, oh, no way, I'm gonna go and just hit 5 hours at the gym. Sorry, you said? Coping mechanisms, yes, yeah. Yeah. Is this new information or did you know about these things? Like, how many of you actually thought that empathy is one of the things that can make you happier? Like being empathic. Yeah? Don't we always say like, oh, if everyone is a bit nicer, the world will be a happier place? Literally. Literally. Empathy is basically being able to walk in someone else's shoes. No. But it creates connection, it creates understanding, it creates meaning. It's burdening if you don't have boundaries. So empathy with no boundaries is basically a recipe for a disaster. But empathy with healthy boundaries, so practicing saying no, basically, you controlling when you're empathic and when you can be empathic, that is healthy. But yes, if you're just being helpful all the time, you're just a people pleaser with very good empathic skills. I'm one of these guilty ones. So training to become a therapist was one of the biggest challenges for me because, you know, I wanted to save everyone, but I had to learn that I had to say stop. I couldn't answer calls at 11 p.m. I couldn't answer crises on Sundays. And that is what leads you to burnout, actually, when you are too empathic with no boundaries. Did someone else raise their hand? I saw someone raising their hand. Yeah?
But what happened is it the opposite. For example, in my case, when I feel empathy about the situation of the others, that made me feel bad. For example,
Why do you feel bad when someone else feels bad?
For example, I don't know, in the airport. I try to be in the shoes of those persons, and that makes me feel sad, not good.
Sadness is not unhappiness. So feeling sad, you're just embodying the emotion of the other person. You're being with that person, so you're experiencing the same emotion as the other person. And you're staying there. That presence with that other person creates the feeling of, you know, I got you, I understand you. It's a positive thing. But you said, I feel bad. Now, for example, guilt, you know, I feel guilty because this person doesn't have as much as me. That's misplaced guilt. Why do you feel bad for the earthquake? What did you do to cause the earthquake?
Not really much.
So why do you feel guilty? Exactly. So.
But again, it's like that state of mind thing again,
Yeah.
right? It's just that training of like, okay, no, I shouldn't feel bad. Even though I do, and it's okay to feel bad, I shouldn't because it's not my fault.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
cross from
Well, let's just say that Sigmund Freud would have a lot to say about this. Psychoanalysis, about feeling guilty, misplaced guilt, you know, growing up as children, we develop these things, like misplaced guilt, like feeling bad for something that isn't really bad. So instead of correcting the mistake, we're telling the child, you're a bad child for doing this, instead of, oh, this is bad. So that's how we grow up to feel guilty, in a very basic way, I'm explaining this, okay? Feeling guilty for other people's negative emotions. They have absolutely nothing to do with you. You have no control over what other people feel. You can do stuff to induce that emotion in someone else, but you don't control how other people feel. And they don't control how you feel either. If someone said something that pissed you off, and you got angry and you threw something at the wall, you control that emotion. They didn't make you do it. I like challenges. You don't agree? Okay. Okay, disclaimer number 2. We're definitely excluding abuse, okay, of any kind. Like, I mean, if someone's hitting you, like, you're not controlling how you're feeling there. You're obviously going to defend yourself. No.
Basis, I'm not
No.
doing.
Okay. That's a good one. I should have made that disclaimer. Yes. No. Abuse is not. This is not about abuse at all. Okay. Okay. So physical exercise. I mean, no surprise there, right? It's one of also the things that people do the least, if I may say. How many of you here exercise? I just made me feel like shit. We need to get exercising. Okay, good. So you've got 5% in there. Very good. Okay. How many of you, just raise your hands on this, how many of you make efforts for connection and invest in your relationships? Okay. How many of you got married and actually didn't care about that anymore? Gratitude. This is another like trendy thing on social media right now. You know, there's the 5-minute gratitude journal, for example, is a popular one. Yeah? How many of you practice gratitude on a daily basis, intentionally, not just like random thoughts of? Yeah. And like when you're not feeling your best, do you still do it?
That's when I do it more than I try not to.
Does it actually help you? Like, does it boost you a little bit?
I think so.
Yeah.
It doesn't make me
Subjective well-being. If you think so, that's good enough.
It doesn't make it worse. So
Exactly.
It's still worth doing it.
It doesn't make you worse. That's right. Okay. Okay, so you do not and you should not try to be all these things. No one can do it all. What you can do is select one strategy or a few that will work for you. Demi, how are we doing with time?
It's been 1 hour.
It's been 1 hour.
Yeah.
Oh. So what you can do is select one strategy or a few that will work for you. So the how part of how to be happier. You are in control and can influence your life from this day forward in a significant and meaningful way. This is where you can begin. Okay. So let's just set the intention right here. When you walk out tonight and you're waking up tomorrow, write a reminder somewhere. I don't know, stick it as your wallpaper on your phone. So when you wake up tomorrow, you're going to intentionally try and contribute towards being happier. Yeah? That's how it starts. It just takes an intentional moment. Okay? Okay, know yourself to know what will make you happy. So, one of the first ways to try and create and design the things that are going to work for you to make you happier is to know yourself. And someone here said it. One of the pros. Yes. Yeah. How many of you can say that they know themselves well?
I'm getting there, I would say.
Getting there. Getting there is good enough. I mean, no one knows themselves fully. No one. Okay? Maybe let's just say the limit is like, I don't know, 90%. Yeah? So most of you are in discovery, or actually, how many of you are actively trying to get to know yourselves more? Okay? Well, you can go to therapy. Realistically, the opportunities we have in life to get to know ourselves more is either when we make mistakes, if you learn from it, yeah, or when you were in PSD lessons when you were young, when the teacher asks you, tell us what your favorite color is. Yeah, but the environment, where can we have the opportunity to get to know ourselves? Where? Where do you get to know yourselves? Social environments, but you're talking with people, right? You're not really discovering yourself.
No, because you can see how you respond to certain things. Someone
If
might
you are
make you
self-aware,
uncomfortable and then you
yeah.
think, well, why am I uncomfortable right now? What's
Yes,
going on? Like,
yes. So you are self-aware in that moment of how you're behaving. Yeah, that's one way. How many of you do that though, when you are actually in social situations? So, yeah. the thing is, one of the things I say to clients as well is that we don't have many opportunities to get to know ourselves unless we actively try and do that. And therapy is one of the ways that is done, right? But not everyone goes to therapy, unfortunately. So,
Something I do, for instance, is talking to myself.
talking to yourself, yes. Yeah, yourself, your internal dialogue is a very important thing. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, when you're driving, yes. Yeah, you imagine like you're in a Netflix documentary or something and you're like being interviewed. I do that. Yes. Yeah. It's a form of mindfulness as well, no? You're being mindful there. Yeah. So more of these things. When you get out of your comfort zone. Yeah. And you have to be honest with yourself and confront yourself there. Yeah. Yeah. So, another method to work towards becoming happier is get to know yourself. Find opportunities, activities, things that you're going to do to get to know yourself more. Today, you've all done that. You did that little questionnaire, even though the scoring might be incorrect. You asked yourself those questions. You've asked yourself, how happy do you think you are, in a general sense? When was the last time you checked in with yourself to see how happy you are? I'm going to be biased and think that no one. Okay. So, another question to ask yourself to find out what can contribute to your happiness is to know what makes you unhappy. And I think everyone can shoot answers for this one, right? What makes you unhappy? Negativity? Stress? Yeah. What makes you unhappy? Rude people? Toxic relationships? The rain? Oh yeah, that's the rain. What else? What makes you unhappy? Loneliness? Dwelling on the past? Illness? Sorry? Yeah, that makes us unhappy. Things like war. Worry. What makes us unhappy? Number 6, what do you have to say about this? You have one. Overthinking. You overthink? You scored 6. Yeah, overthinking. And generally when we're overthinking, we're thinking negatively, right? We're thinking of worst case scenarios, we're thinking of... Yeah. What makes you unhappy?
I was thinking about like negativity as well, like negative people give you negative vibes. So you're there, you just should
chronic complainers.
Maltese people.
Yeah, Maltese people. It's like the ones born from 1960 backwards. What makes you unhappy? Any answers? You're happy? Are you happy? Yeah? What makes you unhappy?
Grief, I think.
Grief.
Yeah.
Grief.
Like
That's
the
a good
grief
one.
stage, you can't,
Yeah.
You can't fast forward, you know?
Yeah. Grief is an emotion that's not just related to death. We experience grief in many different things as well. Yeah? Not being able to do what you love to do, such as dancing. I was thinking that actually. It's true. Yeah, you have a passion and you can't practice it. Either because, I don't know, you work long hours or, I don't know, for some reason. What makes you unhappy? Doing things you regret. Yes. By force? You do them by force? Yeah. 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 When you're overwhelmed, when your emotions are taking over your rationality, like how much you can control about yourself. Okay. If anyone wants to take notes about how to be happier, wants to write this down, go ahead. Okay, another way is to identify your strengths, talents, and goals. And another cliche, but it's true. For example, I consider myself to be a good singer. I mean, I have a good voice, I think. And I've been complimented about it, but I never actually sang.
At your wedding.
No, I didn't sing at my wedding. That was horrible.
Karaoke, yeah.
Yeah, but that was horrible. That was not the example I was trying to make here, Christine. So, why haven't I done it if I know it's something that makes me happy? You know, it's a talent of mine. And I keep thinking, oh, one day I will do it. Maybe at the right time. A strength, for example. Well, one of the ways that I consider myself something that made me happier when I became a therapist is because I love helping people. I love doing this job. So for me, I found a profession that actually makes me happier. Sometimes it makes me sad, upset, burnt out, tired, exhausted, and regretful of it, but it does provide me with a lot of meaning because I consider myself to have strengths in that. And goals. This is when we said you need to have a little bit of goals, but not the only thing, okay? I don't think there's anything to share with this one, unless anyone wants to share. What do you think about this? If you identify these things, you spend some time to work on this, you can actually see what could make you happier. And the other one is, it has to fit with your lifestyle. What is realistically adaptable to my needs and lifestyle? For example, if one of the things that I think will make me happier is traveling around the world, I have 2 kids, that's not going to be something I can do. So that's not something I'm going to have to fit into my lifestyle. That's not something I'm going to work on to increase my happiness because I can't really do it that well. Yeah, so realistic is be realistically adaptable to your needs and lifestyle. Just be realistic, okay? Okay, so these are other things that can literally make you happier. Expressing gratitude, cultivating optimism, avoiding overthinking and social comparison. Well, some overthinking is necessary. Practice, well, not necessary, but it happens. Practicing acts of kindness. This is true. If you are kind to someone, it can actually make you happier. Nurturing relationships, developing strategies for coping. That's the resilience part that we saw earlier in happiest people in the world. Learning to forgive. What do you think about this one? It's a good one. It's very hard. What do you think, how do you feel when you can manage to actually forgive someone? What would that make you feel? Proud of yourself that you're actually able to forgive someone who potentially hurt you or hurt someone else.
Yeah, I think it takes a weight off your shoulders.
It takes weight off your shoulders.
Yeah, being able
like
to give
negative
that.
energy that does not need to be there. Like extra hate that could be placed on someone else.
Yeah.
Or something else. Doing activities that truly engage you, so things that we feel alive when we do, okay? This refers to what we call the hedonic activities, which are the things that drive pleasure. So then there is eudaimonic, which are the things that give us meaning. We need to have a balance of both. So we need to have some fun and also meaning. So if you have a lot of meaning in your life, you became a surgeon, you're saving lives every day, but you're constantly at work, you never see your family, your health is shit, you never exercise, you're still gonna be unhappy. So you need to have a balance of both, hedonic and eudaimonic. And yeah, doing activities that engage you, like, I don't know, dancing, for example, or like tonight, I don't know, afterwards we get to drink and socialize, things that maybe you could find engaging. Savoring life's joys, committing to your goals, practicing spirituality, taking care of your body. So these are the things that science says, science-backed, evidence-backed, things that make you happier. Feel free to take a photo of it if you want. But again, I think that there are many of these things that are not surprising, right? Hopefully. Okay, a final thing. It's only going to take 3 minutes. List as many happy memories as you can in 3 minutes. Do you still have the pens?
Yes.
Okay. So, 3 3 minutes. Sorry guys, I know this is taking way longer than I anticipated. As many happy memories that come to mind as you can. If you want to be fast, just write one word. John, you need to write down your happy memories. Okay, let me check the clock, sorry. How's it going? Are you blanking? Okay, 1 minute left. Okay, time's up. So, how many of your hands hurt with the many things you've written down? How many of you find it hard to do this exercise? So at first it's difficult, but then when you have a few more start pouring in. Yeah. What did that panic say, do you think? Yeah. We tend to forget about our happy memories quite a lot. But I'm pretty sure most of you have a lot of them, right? Again, this isn't some happy clappy fairies, rainbows and unicorns thing. That it's just one strategy, okay? That could just give you a bit of a boost. That's it. This is the same like gratitude exercises. And the more you practice them on a daily basis, the more it contributes to feeling happy. In a broader sense, okay? Okay, we're reaching the end. How do you guys feel?
Happy.
Happy! Yeah, your butts must hurt because you've been sitting down for almost 2 hours, right? Anyone wants to share how they're feeling right now? 6? Are you a 7 now?
Good to see
Yeah, it's good to see different points of view.
different than yours.
I learned a lot from today as well. Thank you. Okay, one last riddle. This is a new-ish research that I stumbled upon recently, and for me it was new information. So, what is one complex emotion that is positively attributed towards happiness? Guesses? Fulfillment. Okay, that's an emotion, like I'm talking about an actual chemical emotion, like happy, joy, or, well, it's not joy. No, I gave you a hint. Contentment.
Gratefulness.
Playfulness. Gratefulness. Excitement. Passion. Compassion. No. It's 3 letters.
Sad.
No.
Sad.
No, no sad, not sad. That's an emotion. Sex is an emotion. Well, it creates a lot of happy emotions when you have it. Yeah. Okay, so it's going to be surprising for you as it is for me. It's awe. Do you know what this is? You know when there is something that you just can't explain, but you get goosebumps. You're like, oh.
It's like wonder, no?
It's wonder. It's the mystery of wonder. It's things that cannot be explained, like vast mysteries of life. But awe moments. If you practice awe every day, you can find it in everything. For example, we've had really bad weather. Someone mentioned the rain. They hate the rain. We've had quite a lot of bad weather for quite a lot of time for us Maltesers to tolerate. Then when the sun hit last week, how nice was that? Right? So you walk out of your office, the sun hits your face, just stop for a couple of minutes and you're like, oh, it's nice. Yeah, no, and then I hate life, right? It's always here. But these are moments where very simple things, simple practices that we tend to forget about, right? Because we're busy or we have so much going on. But these are actually things that contribute to your happiness. Find awe, find wonder in everything that you do, every single day. Okay? Awe experiences are what psychologists call self-transcendent. They shift our attention away from ourselves, make us feel like we are part of something greater than ourselves, change our perception of time. Someone mentioned time, they want more time. And make us more generous towards others. So 2 things that actually contribute to happiness. So it's one very small practice of inducing an emotional state that leads to being kinder to others and also increasing your perception of time. If you're in a rush and you stop for a minute just to absorb the moment, does that really going to change anything for you? Other than, like, is it going to make you late? Is it going to, I don't know, make you feel worse? No, it's actually going to make you feel better and you would have stretched your time, how you feel towards time. So, and it's kind of like mindfulness, right? So we've heard it many times before. Mindfulness is a very good practice for happiness. Okay, we've reached the end. These are the references and book recommendations. So this presentation was mostly inspired by the book I read, The How of Happiness, A Scientific Approach to Getting the Life You Want by Sonia Lyubomirsky. This is a Russian name I wasn't able to say. The other one is Awe, The Transformative Power of Everyday Wonder by Dacher Keltner. Born to be Good, The Science of a Meaningful Life by Dacher Keltner as well. And my personal favorites, The 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think by Brianna Weiss. The Mountain is You by Brianna Weiss. These are my favorites. I recommend these books to all my clients and they're all like, that's amazing. Yeah. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kelly. As if, no problem, we're all super invested. I can see everyone's face, everyone's super interested. For me, super insightful. I've seen you before and I enjoyed you as much this time as I enjoyed you last time. So can we give another round of applause to Kelly, please? Thank you so much. And thank you all for joining us today. This is one of our monthly events, so I'd love to see you all here for our next SOHO Talks. And I also want to just take this opportunity to invite you personally to our 10-year anniversary. SOHO was established 2013 and we're going strong and we're getting bigger. And I'd love to see you all here on the 30th of March. It's the eve of public holidays, so we can stretch out those celebrations. And there's going to be loads going on, selfie booths, free food, lots of networking. We're a really good bunch here at SOHO, so I hope to see all of your faces again. And thanks. Please stay, enjoy drinks. We're open. Nice seeing you. Ciao, guys.